Can I have your kind attention? We are going to begin our next session. It is India GCC Trade Cooperation Food Security Issues, which will be done by Professor S.K. Mohanty. He is a distinguished fellow in RIS and has a vast experience dealing on the subject. We are very pleased to have you, sir, and we hope to hear your perspective and gain from it, sir. Please.
Thank you. This is, let's see.
Yes.
Okay. So welcome to all of you to this session. RIS and India has been working very closely with the GCC, and also I hope all are from Oman. So after that
Oman, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia.
there also.
Yeah.
So I took the privilege of putting GCC, all countries together, and I thought that it would be unjust if you only focus on agriculture. So I took all trade, so all sectors, and then also something which we did specially for Oman, for the Ministry of Commerce. I thought that I can also share some of my thoughts in this presentation. Oh, sorry. India is, as you know, that is a fast-growing large economy, and we have got a very ambitious target of having $7 trillion by 2030, with $2 trillion exports by that time. So, and also the ambitious target of $35 trillion GDP by 2047 and $12 trillion exports by the same year. So, if that is the case, then the global economy should also be in that order to support the endeavors that India has been doing. But that is not the case. Things are becoming more complicated. Recession is running for the last 17, 18 years. And the new change in the government in US is also quite different. It's more of inward-oriented kind of government, giving more protection to the domestic economy. And therefore, the recent policies that the US has taken, that has made many countries to think that how they can keep their interest intact by collaborating with the member countries around them. So that's what we have been observing, that if you want to keep a high pace with the world economy and really to ensure that there is quick recovery of the world economy, then I think we have to do much. We have greater responsibility on us. So in that context, GCC is a major group which has got tremendous capabilities and potential, and also they have their own challenges. Now, if we look at the performance of India and GCC over a period of time, I think they move together. Of course, India has got difficulties in some times. In 2009, growth rate declined substantially, and also many countries, and also 2020, like others. GCC also followed the same path. Now, GCC has got other difficulties and common difficulties similar to that of India. Many GCC countries are having Dutch disease as a major problem. Single single sector, hydrocarbon sector is the most priority, more lucrative sector, and therefore high investment, high attention on the sector and a related sector ensure that other sectors get less priority over the years. And that has led to this single industry sector development, But many countries have now getting away from that, having more other sectors giving high focus on this. So in that context, GCC has already think of having a customs union, and they have got a very large potential to engage with countries like India and others who are also into diversified sectors. So both the production, investment, and the trade that can take place together. Now, if we look at the trade trends of GCC countries, it's quite different from that of many countries. Maybe India. India is perennially a very trade deficit country, consistently having trade deficit over a period of time. But GCC is not. GCC always having trade surplus with the rest of the world. But the external sector is highly volatile, which is very not comparable with their own the track record of imports. Where in case of other countries, India and others, in them, I think there is some kind of congruence between export and imports. So, because of sudden rise and fall of the export graph, there is always the region in terms of trade surplus is under question, and therefore sometimes it is also a kind of strain to individual countries or group of countries. So that on the top of that, the high income of the GCC countries have got another difficulty of middle income trap. So Dutch disease and middle income trap are the two important things, and all middle income countries, whether it is low or upper middle income countries, they also have the same problem of a middle income trap. But GCC countries have got the dual problem of Dutch disease and uh, middle income trap. Now, in this trade profile, how different GCC countries are placed. So, if we look at the export profile of GCC countries and import profile, I think we find a big mismatch among them. In exports, you can see the dominance of Saudi Arabia. The major chunk is coming from Saudi Arabia. It's then followed by UAE and other countries. But if we look at the imports, I think it is UAE which is at the lead, followed by Saudi Arabia and then other countries. So that difference one can see, and also in terms of the profile in exports and imports, imports is more smooth and very consistent with global trade regimes. You can see up to say 2013, consistently import was growing, but not that of the exports. So with the onset of recession, global recession in 2008, I think the exports started declining. But with the different regimes, first phase of recession and the second phase of recession, you can see that export remained very static between 2015 to 2021. So that is the phase, and it has its own repercussion because the import never coincided with the export trends. Now, see in the GCC, the export structure is completely different from that import structure. So, in the imports is more diversified than its export structure. Export is mostly concentrated around fuel, hydrocarbon, and also many related sectors like plastics, chemicals, organic chemicals. Besides that, it has got a tremendous space to export in the area of masonry and also base metals. But in terms of its imports, it is highly diversified. I would, of course, they import mineral fuel, but the size is very much small. So and there are areas where there is considerable degree of intra-industry trade. That means the sectors where they export and import simultaneously. So those areas could be minerals, masonry, gems and jewelries, some of the areas where you have got both exports and imports simultaneously. Now, see that how the GCC region as a whole has got its trade interaction, intra-regional trade and extra-regional trade in different regions and countries. From the map, one can very well see that strong trade ties with China, uh, Japan, Korea, India, US. I think these are very segmented areas where they interact, but they interact very intensively. And the rest of the world, they are that. Of course, their trade ties with the MENA and other areas are also quite strong. But this is the trade trend that you can see. And import also is the similar trend that you can see. In Europe, you find Germany is one where there is strong trade ties. But same pattern emerges like Japan, China, India, US. So in GCC, and if we see India and the world, the trade pattern, particularly exports, more or similar. In exports to India and the world, they almost match the trend. But if when you look at imports, this is not the right one. Particularly in the period of first phase of recession, particularly 13, 14 and onwards, while import was growing with the rest of the world, it was more or less stagnated with India. And after COVID, again, it has gone down to a very large extent. I think we have not studied before that, so that we can do, but this is the trend that we see. In terms of trade potential, it is very important that if we are really thinking of to have SEPA, SECA, or free trade agreement among ourselves, in which sector we should do, and how different member countries are placed in terms of different sectors, and in different sectors, what is the size that they have where they are expected to have trade gains. So these are the major issues. As we have already know that have already have SEPA with UAE, how the situation would be if we see GCC with and without UAE. So therefore, we try to see country-wise, sector-wise, with and without UAE, what is the scenario that we see. Uh, if we take out UAE, of course, if you take GCC as a whole, the upper part of the graph showing that the dominance of UAE is very much there among other countries in GCC. But if we take out UAE, I think we can see the new scenario emerging, uh, like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman. They are the front runners in terms of trade gains from the potential that they have, India has with those countries. In many times we have seen when you negotiate that oil sector is generally out of the purview of our negotiation. So if we look at non-oil potential in India, then what is the scenario you can see? But definitely, we see that according to the size of different countries, the size of trade potentials are different. For example, if you take out UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're bigger countries. Among the other countries, I think Oman, Kuwait also quite substantially can gain from GCC cooperation if you do. And also the sectors we can see where it would be different for different countries in terms of trade potential. There is another interesting development in FTA across the globe. Generally, what is done is that the trade negotiation is between two countries, but the trade scenario has changed drastically. It is no more a country. Is a question of the region. If we negotiate with Canada or US, many times you go to specific provinces to ensure that what kind of potentials existing there. And while doing this exercise with Ministry of Commerce, we also try to see that how different provinces within the country are linked to GCC countries, and they try to find out their trade gains in different sectors. So how we can see that how different states in India can really gain from different sectors if we really going for a kind of arrangement with the GCC. Uh, Now, we have taken one example, like suppose Maharashtra is a big state in India. If that is the case, we see, then how we see it looks at GCC by country in different sectors, broad sectors, agriculture, manufacturing, minerals, and overall. So that you can very well see that the state has got very high stake in the UAE, followed by other states within the GCC. So one can very well negotiate that which sectors, which commodities, which state can negotiate with which, that would be quite feasible, and that's how the new trend in global trade is taking place. So just some idea. Uh, I thought that the group is for Oman and for commerce. They requested us to prepare a study for them to negotiate with Oman, and I thought that let me share some of my ideas, and therefore sorry for this. I didn't know that this is. Uh, of course, I prepared for others also. Entire preparation was for GCC, but last moment I changed it. Okay, I am sure that the results are not very different from that of GCC. Uh, see, uh, what kind of protection we generally offer to our economies is the central issue. So we have to see that when you go for MFN, and also take the simple MFN average tariff, and then you take import weighted tariff, which is very close to actual tariff of a country. Uh, that would show that how a country is placed in terms of the giving the level of protection. If there is a divergence between simple appraised tariff and import weighted tariff, that clearly indicates that in high uh, import segments, the level of tariff liberalization is pretty substantial, and that has led to sudden decline in the average tariff of imported tariff. So, look at minerals. Minerals, the simple average tariff is similar to that of the import weighted tariff, or therefore they are on the same line. But that is not the case with agriculture and manufacturing. In agriculture, I think the average protection, the actual protection level is more or less similar over a period of time. But that is not the case with manufacturing. It is constantly declining. That is, the economy is effectively liberalizing a lot. Now, similarly, if we look at the structure of imports and exports, it is very similar to that of GCC. Same, the mineral sector taking the lead in exports, and export sector is more diversified. And what we saw, the trade trends of GCC with India and trade trends of Oman with India, they're slightly different. In terms of Oman's trade with the globe, it is similar to that of GCC, that always maintaining trade surplus with the rest of the world. But that is not the case with India. See, during buoyancy, 2002, 3 up to 2007, constantly the imports was much higher than that of the exports. But subsequently, see that exports much higher, and then that kind of changes taking place over the years. So one can really see that how different countries are placed vis-a-vis India, and what should be the nature of negotiations. Here, trying to see that in different sectors, how they really perform, both in terms of exports and imports. You can very well see that though we are already discussed that India's export is more diversified than that of imports. But here you can see that in which sector it is happening. It is, of course, the hydrocarbon sector is the largest sector, and that largest sector from both the sides. But along with that, sectors related to hydrocarbon, like plastics, like chemicals, are also very much linked to both intra-regional trade between India and Oman. But there are other sectors where you can see there is both imports and exports in the similar sectors. Now we wanted to see that in hydrocarbon, what is the nature of trade between both the countries? We can say in case of India's imports from Oman, there is no question of exporting crude. So the blue part is the crude one, which India is exclusively importing from Oman. But in terms of petroleum products, we can see there is intra-industry trade. We are exporting and importing. Therefore, there is greater degree of cooperation between India and Oman in this particular sector. Now, what is India's interest in Oman? Which sectors? What size? So the sizes would really tell us that which areas we can really do or can negotiate for better market access. So this is very clear from this graph. Similarly, we also try to see what is Oman's interest in India, which we have also did for all countries in GCC. So in each broad sectors, how many HS lines at 6-digit HS are there? Those things are also mentioned here. So it can give broad ideas that how many commodities one can negotiate. For example, in chemical sector, Oman has got large potential in India, and there are nearly 307 product lines where Oman can negotiate, and the total potential is quite substantial to the extent of nearly $300 million. Similarly, it can do in plastic. So it can give some kind of a broad overview that what is the nature of potentials that we are referring to. So at this stage, I would say that Ajay started telling that how the global order is now changing to a very large extent with the new presidency in US. Every day we listen to different things, geopolitical, economic, other areas, drug trafficking, migration. So all those issues taken together is a major challenge for us owning Gaza, uh, uh, taking all people, Palestine to Egypt and Oman. So all those things are really very disappointing to thinkers like us. So we have to consolidate our economic interest. What people started thinking in the in Trump 1.0, that they wanted to move out of their linkages with the US because of such aggressive pushes by Trump. And that really helped in terms of forming more regional groupings. And where we are already in the process of thinking of some kind of regional arrangement, I think the new situation can really help us in terms of rethinking about that how we can really join together. The recent policy actions are also very disturbing. So one has to see that how best we can really respond to that. I think in the morning I was telling that how India is prepared to respond, whether through reconciliation or aggressive action. So I think all those issues are open to us. So I think that the stage is very clear that we have to think that what we have to do in future. Thank you.
Any questions, comments, observations that you would want to share? Any questions you might want to ask?
Since this is a very kind of interactive session, I think we should also take some of the issues that we can think that very important for us. On the issue of on Gaza issue, how GCC member countries are reacting to that offer? Because the way Trump really articulated about annexing Canada, annexing Greenland, access over Panama Canal, owning Gaza, means anytime can come and say that owning India. So I'll not be surprised to see that. When owning Canada is really very surprising. So tomorrow saying that you push all of them to Egypt. So why not to Saudi Arabia or other states? Or you think of yourself and then take claim. So when this is unacceptable proposition. So and also in terms of the kind of push making in international trade, very unilaterally without any very strong analysis, saying that suddenly steel and aluminum tariff has gone up by 25%. Means, of course, in India, it's a very big question. Uh, if you see empirically, they are big industries, not that big that we are so concerned about it. Uh, Aluminium and iron, these are not one product. There are a group of products. When you talk about steel, 300 products. We talk about aluminium, 200 products. So in certain products, it is raised. In each group, we are exporting and importing together. If you are putting embargo on our exports in steel, we can also put embargo on your export to India. So that requires a more detailed homework to understand that what kind of threats that is coming from US, and uh, that also can give us a kind of idea that how can we really regroup ourselves, and particularly in terms of value chains. Uh, India has got a huge, I think, second largest deposits of bauxite, and we can produce alumina, and for more processing, we can seek the help of GCC countries. So that kind of the value chain system from the upstream to midstream and the downstream activities can really go to and fro within India and GCC countries. So one has to really think of that what kind of value chains that we can see. For example, I was we were mandated by our Prime Minister to see that to develop a new methodology for understanding value chain in agriculture and see its impact globally and regionally. And it is very surprising to know that in many GCC countries, they are in the midstream. Of course, their trade is mostly in the midstream, and some cases it is in the downstream segment. So those things are really not really articulated in the literature properly. So that requires more thinking and more granular analysis to see that what is the kind of the strength that our neighboring countries are having. So, for example, I examined Oman. It was huge midstream agricultural commodities. We can the entire HS classification for agriculture we divided into nearly 22 groups, and in each group we try to see how different countries are placed in different streams of value chains. So we can really plan out that which are the areas where we can really collaborate to improve the whole downstream products in different product segments. So I think we have got tremendous space to collaborate, and we can think of that.
If there are no more questions, I would just give a vote of thanks to Professor Mohanty. Sir, you touched extensively on the trade profiles of both India and GCC. You gave a detailed presentation on scope of imports, exports, intra and inter-regional trade, the scope and potential of this relationship, and how possibly we can derive the value chains globally and regionally that you talked about right now. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. They have been well taken and well noted. Thank you for your time, and thank you for taking the opportunity to come here and address us today. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
managed in 10.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
So I hope you had a very productive day and very interesting one. Maybe I would very much like to hear from you your impression as to how you found it and what kind of sort of clarity or feedback you have in terms of inputs or literature. So anyone, please take the floor and tell us about your impressions on how you saw the course and the engagement. So,
I think it was very informative. I learned so many new information, and sorry. It's so far it's very informative, especially regarding the GCC relation with India, which is long-standing historic relations. Um, so much. I think there is so much more to learn the coming days. Regarding maritime security, regarding connectivity, so many potential there are to achieve new outcomes, to achieve new development in different sectors. I really look forward to learning even more information. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you first for having us here. And actually, my colleague, she's covered everything. So everything was clear and useful. So no comment for me. Thank you so much.
From all the lecturers that have been given today, a full brief of every sector in India, I think India is a great country, that she thinks about the South country and the South global. She have tradition medicine. She have trade worldwide with GCC country. She cares about the also the maritime security. She have a long coast for the ocean. So she is succeeding in every field in her by her own agenda, in her own way, preserving her culture and her habits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Yes, thank you very much for all the information today. I really, it was very beneficial for me as a diplomat, and especially that I'm working in the field of bilateral relations area. And it's very important for diplomats to know about these issues, especially knowing that the strong ties, of course, and the historical ties between India and the GCC countries. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for everything. Everything was very clear and very valuable and very useful. And actually, my colleagues cover everything, and thank you for having us here.
You have major responsibility being with the minister's office. So,
Yeah.
any inputs you have for the minister in terms of the content of the course that we discussed in the day?
Yeah, actually, I will transfer everything that I learned here for my country and for my office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you indeed for everything, and let me begin by expressing my profound gratitude for exceptional presenters and leaders and professors. Thank you for your magnificent hospitality, for your magnificent institute. We will always remember this remarkable hospitality, and we will remember it forever. And there is a lot of information and learning a lot of new things, maybe India GCC relations and covering from the trade, in energy and security. And also I write down here maybe for the maritime security also is essential from India and the economic and prosperity and also its national security. India is investing a lot of heavy in naval capability also. And uh, thank you for everything. We are so admire about Indian aspects everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you and most welcome. Please, Madam.
Thank you. I would like to thank you all for your time, for all the rich information that we had yesterday and today. On a softer note, I want to end the discussion or the session by a softer note. When coming to India, this is my first time here, so coming here, I can now say I understand why my ancestors settled here. My father, grandfather, my father was born in Mumbai, and my grandfather and great-grandfather were commercials here in Mumbai. So coming here and meeting you gave me an idea. So why they chose being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Most welcome. And I'm delighted to know this. So congratulations. What business they were in Mumbai?
Pearl.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So they did not think of Hyderabad for that?
No, actually, it's
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah. No, actually, they settled here back a long time ago. So my father, all my uncles were born here. They stayed here up until the age of 16. Then they came back to Kuwait. So I'm half Indian from my father's side.
Yeah, most
So
welcome.
coming
and
here,
yes,
yeah. So
it's-
coming here, I understand now
it's
why my
homecoming for you.
great
So-
grandfather stayed over here.
No, most welcome. And
Thank you so much.
my idea is also not only to collect your perspectives, but also your suggestions, your advice for next such sort of course. And if you, in case need, I have given my visiting cards and our DG sort of email IDs. If you need any information, any details, any one of you for that matter, please feel free to.
If we can have like a focused subject to work on, or maybe two, not like a lot of things to cover. So we can concentrate on one thing, even going back to our hotels or anywhere. We can like do research, come up with discussions, come up to like have really good questions or have things to think about and wondering for you to clarify. So I think having like specific subjects, not like variety of courses,
Yeah.
like two main courses to concentrate on.
Yeah.
I think this will be more beneficial.
Yeah, so what we structured today in the course, actually, if you see the special course that was designed for you, the task that was given to RIS actually had these four dimensions. So what we were trying to do is to brief you about, as I said in the morning, what Global South is, how Global South is functioning.
Sure.
So Gulshan explained you those dimensions. Then we picked up three interconnected issues. First, trade, how trade is functioning between us, so GCC trade, etc. For trade, you need connectivity. So how connectivity is working out. So trade and connectivity we already covered. The trouble was that the professors were busy into several other activities. So Professor Mohanty, who should have come first, was delivering another lecture somewhere else. So he came at the end for the GCC. But that was the first lecture I had thought of because he started with trade. So the trade part. And the trade part then was followed by connectivity, which Prabir covered. Then in our region in Asia, we require security, maritime security, because if trade is moving as part of maritime movement of the consignments, then you require security. So maritime security came in. Traditional medicine was one additional dimension that we wanted to share with you. But otherwise, our focus was trade, security and connectivity triangle to be covered in this course. While doing so, we covered about the role of corridors, the role of IMAC, and those dimensions today we covered. So this
It
was
it is a
as simple
perfect-
as what
yeah,
I'm
it is,
saying in
because
one
I
line.
know what happened at the beginning with the misunderstanding with the bus and everything.
Yeah.
That threw us off course a little bit, but we managed to
Very good. I'm
finish.
so happy.
Yeah.
Madam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Namaste.
Salam alaikum.
And, thank you for every staff. Thank you for. I am, alhamdulillah, understand more information about the results, information of the development of countries, and information about security. About inshallah in the future is more tech in my work. Inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you. Abdulaziz.
Thank you so much. Presentations was extremely informative, and based on the experience for the first day for me, I think the upcoming days will have more beneficial sessions, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. It was on. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, thank you for your warm welcome to us. It was really grateful and useful day, which has value and which has good presentation and valuable information. So thank you for your time, for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to say the relationship between the two countries, it's not between Oman and India, it's not just from yesterday, it's ancient.
Yeah.
We share heritage, culture, everything.
Yeah.
Even today when she was talking about the traditional medicine, it was just coming to me the medicine which we share together. As I'm using some of medicine that might be from India and some, but there is Omani who's working about the traditional. So this is what I would like to say, and prove that we are really sharing a strong heritage together. And thank you very much. And of course, we'll share this knowledge and everything with our ministers and everyone at Oman, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You're absolutely right. We have age-old cultural partnership between India and Oman, and so with Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. The issues that are related to in terms of what happened in Kuwait when Indian rupee was a legal tender till 1960s, and that component was very much about not just financial connectivity but also cultural connectivity, the faith and the system. And then, of course, when we talk about IORA, Oman is one big member of our community of researchers, and when Professor Mohanty was chairman of the Academic Council of IORA, Oman was one of our major benefactor in the group. So that I think is absolutely right. Cultural ties for centuries have been extremely rich and sustaining the two cultures just on the two sides of the ocean. So I think it's a beautiful opportunity for us to connect, and I'm glad that you found the course useful. Maybe Amrita, you would like to say something.
So I'll just want to give you a formal vote of thanks on behalf of the Institute. Professor Chaturvedi, Professor Mohanty, fellow diplomats, Kaushik, faculty members, Team RIS, Rajuji. During the course of the day, we had very informative presentations, sir. First beginning with Dakshin by Professor Sachdeva, who eloquently highlighted the need to get together to deliberate on development and other issues of global relevance through Dakshin. We had very fruitful discussion on rich traditional Indian medicine system by Dr. Namrata and Dr. Shashi Kumar, and their framework arrangements and their curative purposes. Professor Praveer, they gave us a 360-degree analysis on IMEX issues, challenges, prospects, and highlighted the fact that it is important to secure corridors. Commodore Sujit focused on the topical issue of maritime security and why it is very critical to understand this concept in recent times. Issues of connectivity and maritime security sessions brought us to trade, and it got reiterated how the former issues are connected and prerequisites for a seamless and sound trade. It was very effectively presented by Professor Mohanty, in which he covered a broad overview of the trade profiles of India and GCC, sir. It has been an extremely productive day with extremely thought provoking discussions and knowledge sharing. As Ambassador Verma in the morning had stated, that the world might be chaotic, but our role as diplomat and academician is to find order amidst this chaos. And taking this as my important takeaway from the sessions today, I, Dr. Amrita Banerjee, on behalf of Shushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Service, extend heartfelt gratitude to Team RIS, to you, sir, for an extremely rewarding and engaging day. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Amrita. Your own diplomatic sort of role and also your role as an academic. And you are in both hats because she did her PhD in international relations and handled ably well the academic role in the G20. So she's that way extremely. She did her PhD from JNU. Yeah, yeah. Monteji was professor at JNU in 91. So this I think is extremely sort of beneficial for us to have officers like her in our diplomatic service to bring in the blending that is needed. There have been historically several diplomats who have played very important role in bringing academics close to our foreign services. And I go back to Mujkun Dubey for that purpose, who was from Bihar but was half Bengali and had huge academic inclinations. So that helped RIS to work very closely with MEA on issues which are of academic interest. It is also important now, as Dr. Amrita, you may like to share with them at some point, the global role that is required for diplomats to go forward cannot be without adequate research inputs. So each one of us in the diplomatic services and us in the academics have to keep both the perspectives open. So academics to have more understanding of the requirements of practitioners and practitioners or diplomats to have more an imagination of how research is to be done. What are the researchable issues in your own practical assignments that you would get? The idea of think tanks cannot be left to Western countries alone. We need to have our own think tanks. RIS has established contacts with think tanks in your respective countries. In all the three countries, we have established links with your think tanks. The Middle East Center is doing fabulous job in terms of getting all of us together. Our idea is to evolve a network of southern think tanks which are in the global south, so that we understand not to counter north, but to have creative solutions for the global challenges that we are facing. And that's where the blending that Dr. Amrita brings on table, I think, is extremely interesting and useful for us in the future, since she's there at the institute with you of tomorrow and the longer period that you have here. It would be important for you to also explore further the dimensions of this convergence of academic research and the practical decision making that you would, as a diplomat, in any case, be doing in different roles that you would have. So I once again thank you, each one of you, to have spent your time with us and have thought of visiting India. I hope it would be extremely rewarding experience for you. We have arranged a small tour of the Habitat Center for you, and this tour would take you to different places. We would also be very happy to take you to one of the restaurants here if you would like to have something Probably in the room you might not have got enough, so the change of condition, if you want to have any coffee or tea or you want to eat something, so the full range is there. Our people would be facilitating, and then we take you around the Habitat Center. Habitat Center is a beautiful example of public-private partnership. The land is owned by the government, and it is run by private sector. What they have done is to evolve market instruments, and you would see that it is for members. So there are exhibitions which are going on, cultural programs which are going on. Some of the lectures, as today morning I mentioned to you that we also have a lecture at 7 o'clock. So like that, there are several public activities which keep on happening in the convention center part of the Habitat Center. But otherwise, we have a good sort of effort. You all know Raju, so Raju ji has been working with you, and Mr. Bednath Pandey. They would take you around the Habitat Center and would show you the place. But first, they would take you to have a break from this room, and you to enjoy whatever you want to eat, and then they would take you around the center, and then probably you would be departing for this. And I hope this time your bus would not get lost. So, so thank you. Thank you.